Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our second episode ever of MLB Playing Time. Your host, JP, at Dap Scout on Twitter. And the actual man, the person, all my job is just to, keep him talking, Mike Curlin. Mike, how's it going?
Not much in terms of a job. I think I keep myself talking without you in the room. So you keep me guided, which is huge. And I'm very thankful for that.
Well, thank you so much for everybody out there for tuning in last week. We were really kind of blown away by the feedback and all the views as well. And before we get any further, please come on down and visit MLBplayingtime.com so you can see all the tools. Mike's constantly updating the site, not just with projections, not just with articles, but he's also updating it with the player time dashboard, which you'll see a bunch throughout the show as well. So without further ado, Mike, let's get into some of the questions I got for you because absolutely nothing happened this past week. Nothing at all. There was no injuries. Nothing sad happened. So, I just want to start off before we get into all the kind of the sad stuff. What's your biggest surprise of this week?
It's Tuesday, or today's Tuesday still, right?
Right.
It's awful. It's just the biggest surprise is that it's not stopping, right? Like it feels like just a dream that it's like one of those like nightmares. You wake up, you go wash your face or something, go to the bathroom, you go back to bed, and you get right back into that nightmare. Like you don't actually escape it. It's
Right.
one of those where it's just like today, what Nick Pivetta went down. This is Framberg yesterday. Unannounced Strider obviously a couple days ago, and it's one of those things where it's just like constant. Like what is going on right now? Oh, and now
and on top of that, you see like Twitter burned down because everybody's fighting each other, trying to figure out why it's happening. I mean, it shouldn't even be about like, first off, Twitter investigates, it's one of the funniest things in the world to watch. But, at the same time, it doesn't really matter. It's happening. It's no more just hey, last year sucked. And the year before that sucked a little less. But this is just almost Armageddon. I've never seen this level of just talent get wasted in the first couple of weeks.
No, normally it's like, and like the initial, Bradish went down. Yuri popped up with an elbow late.
Right.
Those were kind of like, okay, there's always a few,
Yeah,
exactly. Like bomb explosion type of injuries just before the season starts or right as the season ramps up.
Right.
But to see it like, hey, we're the first, we're week 3 or week 2.5, whatever you want to call it. And oh, by the way, now that these pitchers that maybe they were ramping up, but not quite to the extent they are now they're ramping up and elbows are falling off. There's like no more UCLs in the league. I'm so like almost like if you look, the guys that aren't injured right now are guys that have all had Tommy John already, right? And some of these guys have had multiple Tommy Johns at this point. Yeah. And it makes you wonder because I know once you have your second one, like you're even more prone to having like to re-injuring that ligament again or something like that. It's weird. So it's interesting and it's frustrating, and navigating through that is very, very difficult because it's easier on the offensive side of things to kind of get an idea of where the playing time is going to come from and what type of skills. And I think it's a little easier to even stream hitters off the waiver wire to Frankenstein the stats of a hitter you might lose. But pitching, you can't just like if you're for reference, some of the guys this week, like deeper leagues for instance, Martin Perez. Why does it sound wrong? He pitched today.
Yeah.
Is that the right name?
Yeah, Martin Perez for the Pirates.
Yeah, is that for some reason that sounded wrong? But yes, okay, it was Martin Perez, obviously. Yeah, so Perez, yesterday with
he was great for the Rangers. I mean, he's pitching way better than his peripherals, but he was great.
He does when Perez pitches well or pitches above his peripherals. It's like he does that. It's like he does when he pitches well. It's usually above what everything suggests he should do, right? Sure. But you have him, you have Trevor Williams. I'm for someone who does this so much, you would think the name Trevor Williams of the Nationals. You had I'm trying to think my point is these are just these guys, right? These useless guys that people we view useless otherwise. These guys went out and both pitched gems, and those are the types of guys. Okay, cool. So now you might be able to get ratios from them, right? But you're not getting strikeouts. So now you're like, and those teams, the Pirates, although they are fun, they're running hot right now. They will win some games, but like the Nationals aren't going to win many games. So it's like even the players that are available. Paul Blackburn, another guy that's kind of just a guy who can get you some decent ratios. The win potential is not there. So you're getting 2 out of 5 stats if you're playing roto, right? Or if you're playing head to head, those wins, you're not getting those wins on these teams. So it's frustrating because with pitching, the deeper the format is, the less you're able to make up for a strider. There is no making up for a strider. Right. But unless you can make up for even a Pavetta. Pavetta is probably your third guy on a deeper league, fourth or fifth in a shallower format.
Sure.
It's in a shallower format, it's easier to make that up, but in a deeper format, it's still the same names that are available. You're lucky if you get your hands on Graham Ashcraft, who looked good up until he didn't yesterday, and so it's one of those things where
Yep.
I'm over here complaining and crying about my ratios in some leagues, but at least I have some live arms left in some of these leagues. I've seen some guys on Twitter, and you mentioned Twitter being kind of like our little hub to kind of see what people are saying. And some of the people are just not having. So it's like one of those things where it's like, you know what? It could be worse.
Oh, it could be way worse. Yeah, you're right. Some of these people that drafted back in January, I mean,
I have some of those
or
teams,
December, just wasteland.
Don't you dare besmirch those teams. Like I have a number of them. I started drafting back in October or November. I've got issues.
It's okay. So going to that end, right? I know we can't necessarily, pick them, but can you help us find, or at least help us figure out how we could look for pitching replacements? I mean, we could always look for the top prospect in AAA, but do you look for like the long reliever for that next kind of pitching replacement, or is there any kind of magic ball there that higher chance if you go with that long reliever in the bullpen, or kind of mix and match there?
So yeah, it really does depend. If I'm like, hey, I just need to get some ratio help, maybe some guys that can sneak a win, like a Shelby Miller would be perfect. Chris Martin, high leverage guys that give you more than a K per inning, or at least a K per inning, and will not dent your ratios all that often. So guys that can, and if all goes well, maybe they fall into a closer role, so at least you get something out of it. But I have no problem trying to replace some of the stats with that. Like if I could, in an ideal world, maybe you take a guy that's going to give you volume, like we mentioned, Trevor Williams, Blackburn. These guys, again, I'm more so unfortunately, my experience is really a lot more extensive in deeper formats, so that's where my head goes to these names that no one else cares about. But even Colin Ray types, like who, no one cares, right? But here we are talking about these guys that are rather useless in shallower formats, but. So you maybe take one of those guys and you pair them with this this multi-inning reliever or this high leverage reliever that can give you some meaningful innings, sneak a win in there, so you can kind of get the innings and volume and potential for wins off one guy with decent ratios, and then you turn around and get the strikeouts and sneak a win. Like Shelby Miller got another win today. I think he has 3 wins on the season already, for reference.
Yep. And so I did what I didn't expect myself to do. I picked him up last week. I mean, it was just one of those things where it's starting to look a little bit tasty, considering again the rest of the landscape is just ugly.
But if you want to take chances, you have guys like Spencer Arangetti, I believe is how you say his name. He's getting the call now because Framber Valdez is down, which Valdez, another big name, sometimes the SP1 for some teams. If you went with like the no SP attack and waited on pitcher, he could have been your first guy like in the 4th round or something. Even in deeper formats, he was going around there. So that's a big one. So it's like guys like Ben Brown. Obviously, if you could project, like if you think Kate Horton will get a call up, you take a shot there. So yeah, top prospects getting ahead of the market there. However, if you play an FBC like me, if those guys aren't drafted, they're not available in the player pool until they debut. So it's a little harder to get ahead. However, majority of players don't play an FBC. You can take advantage of that, and like maybe even the Phillies, they don't really need help. Taiwan Walker's about to start a rehab assignment, so maybe get ahead of that if you want to try to stash an injured player. Okay. But yeah, stuff like that. Like right now, you can probably get Tyone in a lot of leagues, even some deeper formats. I know he'll be available, not a lot of them, but he's not great, but he's usable, right? And he's pitching for a decent team in the Cubs. Yep. So sure. Tyone's a guy that coming back from injury. Braxton Garrett, although he's probably universally drafted in deeper formats, a guy that is already rehabbing, probably 1 start away, maybe 2. Same with Tyone, they're on the same schedule. Like they're both 1 to 2 rehab starts away from returning, so 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah. But if you're in shallower formats, guys like Jordan Hicks, who are probably not available, but maybe you go for upside like that. Guys where it's like just back into rotation types with like Keaton Wynn, another name I like, even in shallower formats, just because he shows glimpses. And now with Cobb out, he has kind of a runway to innings, and he has strikeout upside. He can get blown up here and there, but he's a name that even in shallower formats I like, and even because I play some 12s and he's been out there, and he's a guy that I've eyed because of that upside.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with some of the names that are kind of still, I wouldn't say under-owned, but like Louis Varland, right, is one of those guys that I know he has a 6+ ERA, but
tough.
But that I'm expecting that to get better, and I'm trying to get as much AL Central pitching as
absolutely.
possible.
I would take the thing is pick him up after tonight. I wouldn't start him against the Dodgers. That's the big thing.
No. This week is an absolute no. But like just some of these guys that should also probably getting rage dropped, right? Like Bailey Ober was dropped for sure that first week in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, maybe he really shouldn't have been. But hey, look, he turned it around yesterday. Went 5 strong against the Dodgers and reminded you why he was climbing up boards.
Yep, exactly. So again, wait for that rage drop. But somebody who's going to start becoming a rage drop for me because I keep having him. I'm Cuban, Mike. As you know, you're Cuban as well. We bond over this. Luis Robert. I at least have to have one Cuban on every team. I don't know. It just always happens.
Hey, 6 to 8 weeks. News wasn't awful on him.
All right, but I mean,
I'm trying to be optimistic here. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. They're talking about bringing Colas up from the minors. I mean, where does he fit in? Is he? I mean, because he doesn't. I mean, and then they're like, maybe it's a youth movement. I mean, Colas isn't the youth movement. What are you seeing here at all? I mean, when Robert comes back, I mean, obviously they'll play him, but what's going on with the White Sox right now? I mean, they're not exactly the best team, anyways.
So you can see so people watching can see the injury. Robert hurt his
it's a
hip flexor.
That's
hip flexor strain or something like that. 6 to 8 weeks was the initial prognosis was a grade 2, 3 to 4 months, and then it came out the next day that it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, which is more palatable. But Colas, we've seen him. Unfortunately, we've seen what he can offer in the past. Now we also know he has some upside. But unfortunately, it's just one of those things where it's like
you sounded so disheartened there. He has some upside.
He has some upside because he does. Because Colas. Here's the thing: the team obviously, so the last regime was in on him, and the new regime came in and was like, "Yeah, no, we're not that interested." And sent him down without even much of a second thought. In AAA this year, he's doing his thing again. He's showing that upside. He has a home run. He has a stolen base. He's now the strikeouts are way down, which is very encouraging because Colas is a guy that in AAA in 2020 and last year 23% strikeout or 22% strikeout rate, came to the majors, kind of struggled with strikeouts a little bit, back up to 27%, but now it's back down to 12.5%. Maybe he's adjusting. Maybe Colas is just getting more comfortable at the higher levels.
Right,
hitting really well. The BABIP isn't inflated, which is nice. So it's like one of those things where he's kind of earning that batting average. His big issue is going to be like, can he elevate the ball? 48% this year in AAA and 51 last year at the major league level. So that ground ball rate's still a concern. Yeah, there's speed. Yeah, there's power. But he's probably going to platoon because they platoon everybody right now. So if he comes up, he's going to platoon. So Colas is limited. I'd say Colas has intrigue as a streamer in 15-team leagues, but nothing more than that right now. At the end of the day, though, I just feel like this team soured on him once. The second that they have a chance, I feel like they'll just if they sign Tommy Pham tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised, type of thing.
So let me ask you this: again, I know you're not a dynasty guy, but you play enough that I can ask you this. If I'm owning,
you can really say own. It's fine.
No, it's not that. I put owning like as in like I don't know. Anyways, if I own Luis Robert in my team in a dynasty format, are you looking to sell 90 cents on the dollar?
If you can get 90 cents on a dollar, yeah, but it's hard to get that much. People are probably offering 70 cents on the dollar, and I don't want to give that up because at the end of the day, we know he's injury prone. This isn't a surprise. However, it's like hips and other soft tissues, and it's like really weird that I think he's like 26. He's only 26 years old.
Yep.
He is turning 27. He's still in his prime. I think you can still get solid years out of him. I wouldn't put that Byron Buxton tag on him yet in terms of he's close to Byron Buxton, but Buxton's never put up. He has two seasons of 400 plate appearances or more. Again, I know 400 is not a high standard, but last year, he played 145 games and almost just 5 short of 600 plate appearances. So Robert,
and in those games, how many home runs did he get?
38.
Right. When Buxton did that how many times?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think where the comp comes in is that Buxton's a guy who just we've seen Robert hit his potential. Unfortunately, and we never saw Buxton. Buxton was kind of like in this idea of like being this elite prospect, and like we know the potential's there, but never hit it. But the reason why I'm putting that comp out there is the health comp.
Of course, no, 100%.
Because Robert, we've seen the ceiling, but is that going to be the career year now? We don't, it's hard to say it's not because as you get older, these injuries aren't going to just stop, and he'll probably stop running more to try to remain healthier, and which we've seen other stars do in the past. But so I think if I'm competing in a dynasty format, I'm definitely trying to take a shot on Robert. If I'm in redraft holding wise, I think I would hold in 15s, in 12s. It's more fringe just because it's hard. It's easier to replace him in 12 teamers. It goes back to what's available on the waiver wire. But in a 15, the replacement value over the next 6 to 8 weeks isn't as easy to come by. So I think he's worth holding on to in deeper formats. But in Dynasty, like I said, I'd be looking to buy if you're competing, because he'll be back for at least the second half. Yeah. And if you can get him for like 70 cents on the dollar, I would take a shot at it.
So speaking of somebody that's hurt to somebody that's healthy but is not showing the Robert signature stick. So Parker Meadows and Colt Keith came in, just with a lot of fanfare, and they were creeping up the boards there at the end. Parker Meadows is hitting .08 with 2 stolen bases and 2 hits and 25 at bats. But at least he has almost a 300 OBP. And then Colt Keith has 8 hits, 3 RBIs, a 222 average, and 300 OBP. So a little bit better. But these 2 rookies are they looking with the Tigers? If it was anybody else, I'd be frightened. But I'd love to know from your point of view, are they about to lose some playing time here at all?
So I've noticed recently, and it's not going to show. It's going to show. Let's see. So today they face the lefty. This updates every morning, so it's not going to include today's lineups.
You might want to zoom in just a little bit so we can.
Did I again?
It's okay. Don't worry about it. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be.
So that should be magnified a little bit. But
at
the end of the day, so Parker Meadows didn't start today, and I don't believe he started against the last lefty. I can let's put the dates to the 4th, and then. It's only been one lefty. Meadows did start against the last lefty. I know it's been weird with his starts against lefties lately. I know he sat against one today, and I saw him get pinch hit for a couple games. So that's part of the issue here. So he sat 2 out of the last 3. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, Meadows has sat 2 of the last 3 against lefties, and he's been pinch hit for in games and stuff. So I think he's losing favor as an everyday player right now. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's in a strict platoon, because obviously he started today, or he started at least one. He started the last game against lefties, but it's trending in the wrong direction. Now we're talking 2 out of 3 after starting 2 straight on the year, I believe, or 1. Oh, it was weird. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm rambling at this point. Point being is Meadows is losing.
You're doing fine.
Meadows is losing a little bit of favor there, and Colt Keith, they just signed him that deal. I don't think either of these guys are going to be strict platoons. Like, now this makes Keith's second start out of 4 total lefties they've now faced this year. So he's not a full-time player against lefties either. But with that said, they're not in strict platoons. Like, you can see Kerry Carpenter has 0 starts against lefties this year. Zach McKinstry has 0 starts against lefties this year. Those guys are strict platoons. Those guys are strictly playing time concerns. And McKinstry is limited on top of platooning. McKinstry is not even playing every day against righties, but Kerry Carpenter is. So at least Carpenter has that going for him. With that said, though, both those guys have some concerns. It's tough, and 12 is tough to roster them right now with any type of what's the word here? Not concerned. The one where you're the word that I'm having a hard time tonight. The word confidence,
not concerned.
Confidence. Any type of confidence. Apparently, I'm lacking confidence tonight with the way I'm talking.
Hey, you know what? But, I'm confident in you. You'll pick it up in the second half.
I'm glad one of us has it. But
yeah.
So sorry.
I guess look, Colt Keith has 6 starts there in the 6 hole. That's not great, but at least Parker Meadows is still starting to lead off.
He's leading off against righties.
Except for that's 2 spots in the 9th.
That's against lefties. So when he does play, but so that's fine. But like you mentioned, he's still leading off. So of the 2, I'm definitely more optimistic. And I like Colt Keith. And I think it's not fair because it's cold. It's still really cold in Detroit where they're playing. And I think you give them a chance to warm up. Now, are they must starts in 12s? No. But if I'm stashing one of the 2, I'm picking Meadows, because Meadows is at least stealing bases. And that's a more valuable skill set than hitting home runs, in my opinion. But I think they'll both hit home runs, and I think they both can steal some bags, but I think Meadows will steal more. But I also think Meadows is going to be just fine. Colt Keith is being a rookie. I know they paid him, and they're going to give him runway. So the playing time's there. So in 15s, you're holding on to both. In 12s, I'm okay cutting Keith of the 2. I just think that let the weather warm up. Let these guys get some, some
2.5 weeks in, buddy. Decision time.
I'm very, very, I'm a lot more liberal on waiting for, give your guys a chance. Now, you don't have to start them. Right. But if you can, hold on to them. At least, again, in 12s, Colt Keith, I'm fine letting go because I don't think his skill set's anything special. I think Meadows has a little more upside. Even then, in 12s, you could probably and Shallow, you could probably let him go if you really need to. I just rather not if I can. I know, in for instance, NFBC formats, OCs, I have them. That's a 5 outfielder, 12-team league. And even in that league, outfield kind of thins out. But I can find guys on the waiver wire right now that could play better than Meadows. I just don't know if Meadows is somebody, because if I know if I saw Meadows on the waiver wire, I'd probably want to pick him up, at least hold on to him if I can. So that's where
Exactly.
Meadows, I think so. At the end of the day, he's a fringe in that format. Anything shallower though, you can probably move on and just hurry up, pick him back up if he gets going. But yeah, I think he'll be fine. I'm a lot less concerned with Meadows at the end of the day.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit more general here. I would love to know kind of, I know we see like Connor Joe being added everywhere and a couple of the other places, but overall using your tools that you have here, take your time to pull it up and all that. But, which players you see gaining the most at bats, especially over the last week, 2 weeks, whatever it could be. So that way we could really kind of start having a look at that. Cause I know everybody's like, well, I'll just look at the most recent free agent pickup and those types of things as well. So, I would love to know kind of, what your tool is saying and obviously what you see off the top of your head.
So I wrote up the AL and NL playing time reports for the site.
Awesome.
So for those who are listening, MLBplayingtime.com, I wrote them both up. I put them on Twitter and all that too. But so we can go through. I do have date. I show you the date ranges and I cover how many games they played and all that stuff. And if we go through it, it's more so it's watching platoons. You have like the Marlins who they're lefty-righty platoons, so you have to be very mindful of that. Like Jesus Sanchez and Nick Gordon kind of being interesting in deeper formats, but they've been playing so many lefties. Whit Merrifield's like not playing at all, so he's a guy that 3 starts out of the last 7, not someone who's getting regular playing time. Meanwhile, Brandon Marsh is gaining playing time in terms of like expectations. He came in the year, at least for me, Brandon Marsh was projected to platoon because we saw it so much last year, but he's started against 2 of the last 3 lefties entering tonight. And we're recording. We should probably start mentioning, hey, we're recording on the 9th. So 4/9 on a Monday or Tuesday, whatever today is. I think it's Monday, Tuesday. See, I don't even know. But we should probably mention that to people. So when they listen to this, if it's like a Thursday and things change. But anyway, I'm glad we got there eventually.
Things will never change. What are you doing?
Yeah, especially with this, right? Stuff like this never changes. We don't talk about playing time doesn't change on a daily basis. Injuries don't happen every single day, which is getting ridiculous. But
not at all.
We already ranted on that. So Whit Merrifield kind of being, not that it was a surprise. I kind of always had him projected as a part-time player on the site.
Right.
But it's like really part-time, and it's going to take some. It looks like it's going to take an injury or complete collapse of a guy like a Johan Rojas. I don't know how to say his first name, but he's the center fielder. That he has the really good glove, and I saw him get a couple hits in a couple spots the last few days, so maybe he's coming around. But Brandon Marsh gaining some playing time, hitting well. He's a guy that I think he's being overlooked right now. Trey Lipscomb, he's stealing bases, plays every day, bats 6th through 8th in the order for the Nationals. So he's a guy that maybe you're overlooking. And then Jesse Winker and Joey Gallo, blasts from the past. Those guys also just playing a lot. Now, is there a lot to them? Maybe not, probably not. But playing every day, sometimes playing time is all you need.
It's so hard for me to see Jesse not either in a Mariners uniform or a Reds uniform, and then Gallo not in a Rangers uniform. It's just crazy to me.
Even Gallo in a Yankees uniform, because that's when the downfall really began.
Right.
And he was just so hated. But yeah, I agree, it's weird. But going over to the Central, you have Michael Busch playing every day, which I was kind of surprised about, because again, another guy I expected to be more of a platoon bat, but he's been playing against lefties even. The Reds, Benson still every day. The Brewers, Oliver Dunn getting more run. He's kind of running hot right now, although last few games I think he's kind of slowed down a little bit. That's just the nature of this, like these types of players.
Right.
A little bit, they're swing and miss to his game. Dunn has the tools, and he has the playing time right now against righties. He has been a platoon bat all year, but he's trended up because he was a guy who was kind of, 3 out of 5, and next he's like 5 out of 6. So I think his playing time will be dictated based on his performance.
By the way, I love that you alphabetized it by team name. That's so useful because some people do it by, by divisions, and
I do.
But they do it by standings sometimes, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, Chicago, then what? Milwaukee? Why is Milwaukee? Yeah. So thank you for alphabetizing.
I go division. I have done it both ways. I'm not sure which way I prefer it, but I do go division, then alphabetize it. So it's division, then the city in order of city alphabet. So. Because I like to keep everything within the division. I know it's weird, just like kind of a format I've always picked up on and just seem to enjoy. But Connor Joe continues to be a mostly everyday player. I think he played today again as well. He did not start today against a righty, so it's like he plays against every lefty.
Cut him now.
Well, he started. So now this makes 4 of the last 7 righties. So it's one of those things where he's a part-timer versus righties, plays every day against lefties. He came in today, he pinch hit, so he gets pinch hit at bats. So he's not exactly. He's not full on platoon, but it's one of those things where it's tough in shallower formats because Connor Joe's numbers look flashy, But in shallow formats, you're chasing. You want guys with like. There's no reason to take a guy on like this that has the risk of playing 4 out of 7 games in a week compared to like a guy who's going to play 6 out of 7. You know, it's just the math ain't math, and I don't care. Like the per play appearance production might be better, but that's almost like it's more like that's less. It's more luck than it is skill at that point because you should be chasing play appearances because more play appearances equal more opportunity to post production, right? So anyway, I'm getting way beyond that. Michael A. Taylor's fluctuated as well. Joey Bart's come in and he's hitting well, unfortunately, and he's kind of keeping Henry Davis like almost splitting time right now. So that's annoying. So Henry Davis is kind of losing. And one thing we've learned really quick, my crush on Henry Davis for some reason, it's real. It's real. And I don't even have him in. I have a good amount of shares, but none in like the most important leagues. Doesn't matter. Still rooting for him. He's just my guy. I don't know what it is. Going through the West and not a whole lot here. Blaze Alexander, obviously, I think
just real quick, so people know, Mike actually got into 3 fights verbally over Henry Davis. So just want to let you all know that at least. So yeah, it got ugly there at the end.
But yeah, it's luckily he made the team, but he hasn't really earned it since. And unfortunately, like the hot spring kind of died in spring. What we would do, like hopefully he's not the next Lewis Brinson, right? Blaze Alexander is a guy that I've taken a liking to. He got his first start against a righty of the season. They've played 7 lefties out of like 12 games this year. It's been stupid, the Diamondbacks schedule. But
I mean, with a name like Blaze, come on, man, you gotta make it.
Gotta root for him. But yeah, so Blaze Alexander, he started against a righty tonight, so we'll see if that holds because Perdomo's out, and that's kind of a playing time gainer there. And Outman's stuck in a platoon. I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect him to be in such a strict platoon, but he has been. Wilmer Flores has lost playing time because Yastrzemski returned, starting 3 of the last 7. He usually gets right. Let's see if he starts tonight. He did not. So yeah, normally Flores is a weak side platoon bat. Yaz was out. Flores played every day. Yaz is in. Conforto's back in tonight. Wilmer's back out. So Flores is more of an opportunistic playing time guy. And that's just the NL. We can go through the whole AL, but I feel like we have other things we can get to.
What? Well, how about this? How about you just hit the guys you like in the AL? Just hit the big numbers.
Colton Cowser. We'll see what happens. He played over Hayes tonight, and that's kind of one of the first times we've seen it because when Colton Cowser played last week, it was when Hayes was out dealing with illness. Hayes Cowser platoon has always made sense to me since the moment they mentioned they were keeping him up. My initial projection was that, and then they didn't play Cowser for the first week, but maybe that's happening, and Cowser's earning it. He is hitting. Hayes is not. Again, small samples, but that might be all that matters for a team like the Orioles when they have so much depth. They need to play their best players. Obviously, Story's out. David Hamilton's in. That's a strong side platoon guy. Speed, a little bit of pop. He's kind of interesting.
All right, right there. Stop. Go up a little bit. Right there. Curtis Mead. Everybody going into this year knew that Curtis Mead for Tampa Bay, was gonna, had the talent, but was he gonna play? And what are we seeing here?
He's not playing.
He's not playing.
He's just not playing enough. He's very it's the Rays. They're playing matchups like Curtis Mead's in tonight, but it's another lefty. He faces lefties, but he's obviously faced just 1 out of the last like 4 righties. So it's more so again another like when Brandon Lau was out. That's where Mead was starting to get some run, but then Loud came back after 1 missed game, and then that kind of ended. So Mead's more of a weak side platoon bat, and similar him and Ahmed Rosario kind of in that weak side platoon role. Need injuries for the right to get more at bats against righties, which is weird because Mead was like a top prospect of theirs for like a year or so.
And also, he killed it for the Australia national team. I mean, he's a top 3. Top 4 prospect you can fight, with as loaded as that team is. I just am looking for that time when they trade him because there's just no other way.
Yeah. Well, they did the same thing with it took what's his face a few years, like a year or so to break out as a regular. He's on the team now. Let me see if it's right here. I told you, Isaac Paredes. Yeah. He was a guy they traded for and was a weak side platoon bat for like half a season or more before they're like, hey, we have nobody left. You can play here. And then he just realized they like, oh, wait, you really can hit righties. And then it's
amazing. If we let you play every day, you can figure it out.
Well, especially a righty. I understand lefty bats struggling against lefties being a more common thing because coming up, lefty hitters don't face as many lefty pitchers, right? But when you're a righty hitter, you face righty pitchers your whole life, and a lot of them. So you should be able to, if you can't hit righties, it's going to be hard for me to believe that you can make the league in general. Right. So those when you're platooning rookies or like very young players with pedigree against, and you're not playing against righties regularly, I feel like you're doing them a disservice, because there's a reason why they're a top prospect, or one of a top organizational prospect, and you're just taking that away from them from day one. I feel like it's just a disservice. But the Rays are going to Ray, and honestly, I don't know more. I can't sit here and act like I know more than the Rays. I'm just surprised.
But
I thought
you know a little bit more than them.
Could you imagine? I wouldn't be doing this this podcast.
Yes,
right
you would be.
I probably would be.
You missed me already.
Oh, it's not you. It's not you. It's me. No, but
okay, good.
but yeah, so we can move on from Mead.
Yeah. Well, keep going. Because
there was another one. There was another one you wanted to talk
there's
about.
another one. If you keep
Laureano stole second and third base tonight, even though he barely plays.
That's great. Really excited about that. The one I want is in the West.
Oh, here we go. Okay,
we'll get there. We'll get there. A little further down. No, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Rengifo, wait,
yeah. We'll go back up. Well, go to the Rangers. Okay, go to the Rangers. The one we're getting all the questions about is the Rangers. And the Rangers has Evan Carter picked up at bats for the left-handed pitchers? I mean, I want to say 80% of our mailbox is that.
I think he has. I know he sat against one. Let me pull up the actual. In order, first we'll go back. We'll talk about Rengifo. Let me have Rengifo while I have it in front of me, so that I can go back.
Hey, Rengifo away. I am not gonna. I'm just merely telling you that Carter. If I get one more question about Carter today, my mailbox will explode.
So Rengifo, he did 2 of the last 6 he started against, which is nothing. But I think it's like 2 straight now, because he started today as well.
Really?
He's batting. He's playing shortstop. So here's the thing. He's doing the whole he's giving everyone a day off thing. He played yesterday. I think Shenwell sat. Nolan Chanel. Oh no, it was a lefty. So Nolan Chanel always sits against lefties. Shenwell.
Right.
He sits against lefties, not all the time, but most of the time. And so Rengifo slotted in. Today against a righty, Rengifo's in there, but Neto's out. So it's Neto's day off. So it's hard to say Rengifo. It's one of those things like, hey, cautiously optimistic here, but be aware. Rengifo has played. And Rengifo's performing, but the problem is he's been playing when players are taking days off. And this could be one of those weeks where maybe Rendon gets the day off tomorrow, so Rengifo stays in, and then Rengifo sits. But Rengifo played 3 out of 4, and then Rengifo. So it's one of those things you just have to be mindful. Rengifo is that guy still. That he's kind of like hey, we're going to use him as a utility guy and give everyone a day off this week, and then next week he's back to playing 2 games. At least that's how it could be. I'm not saying we don't react or take a chance if he's on the waiver wire. But just be mindful that his playing time, just because he's played a couple games in a row, I'm not ready to call him a starter just yet. Now back to Evan Carter, because we can actually go to the site and pull up the handy dandy tool. Maybe I can get back to the site. Oh, what's going on here? Come on, take me back.
Business site. There we go.
Here we go. I redid the front page to make it easier to find these things. Okay, so the Rangers. So we can look at the whole. And again, people watching definitely better than the people listening, because you guys don't get to watch all the changes. So here we are. So they faced only 2 lefties this year, and I think he started against 2 of them. That doesn't make sense. I saw him sit the other day against one, I thought.
And you said they played against how many lefties?
Only, it looks like maybe 3. Maybe it's 3, and just everyone. No, it has to be 2, I think.
Yeah, because Corey Seager was hurt, so that doesn't count. Garcia only played 2. I'd have to say 2, or maybe 3 at most. But yeah, it looks like he's playing.
He's playing tonight too against lefty. I know Carter. Oh no, you know what? Carter sat against a righty. Yep, he did. I was looking at this screen because I remember looking at. Okay, Evan Carter got a day off, and I looked. I'm like, oh, it was against a righty. That's weird, because he just got a day off. I thought I figured they were going to line up Carter's days off against lefties, because it makes sense, especially when this is their 3rd of the year. So if they wanted to give him 1 or 2 days off this year, I'm surprised they're like, you know what? It's a tough lefty up there. Let's give him a day off. But it's Alex Wood. So, but you have to remember, Evan Carter, he's batting. So he was batting 3rd. He is batting 5th right now. He's moved down to the 5 spot. And you see these eights right here. That's lefties, and he's batting 8th again tonight. And they did mention like, hey, Carter's aware. He's very actually self-aware of like, hey, my struggles as lefties are there, but he's like, I think I could do better, and the team's giving him a chance to, which is nice to see. This is how you treat a young prospect that's 21 years old with potential. You give him a shot, and if he sucks, you move on. But it's weird because Carter's just so his zone recognition is stupid good. Like you look at the problem is you look at a stat line, it's underwhelming. 1 stolen base, no home runs. I know because I have a couple shares. No, batting average isn't there, but he's walking like 30. He last I looked, he was walking like 30.
9 walks in 20. So in 38 plate appearances. I mean, that's stupid.
23%, and the strikeout rate is below 10%. This kid just has such a recognition of the
He
zone right
started
now.
0 for 15. That doesn't include his walks. And then he's three doubles. I mean, just busting out. You knew it was a matter of time, but at the same time, I'm just glad to see the team, like you said, not pull a raise and be like, you're now platoon, and they're really going to let him have a chance to, show what he can do. I mean, 21 years old. I don't think anybody kind of knows what they can do at 21 just yet. So giving him that chance is really amazing.
I still I'm 30. I'm turning 34, and I still don't know what I can do in my life. Like I'm still pretending
You're not a day over 18,
I
son.
wish. And then my back tells me otherwise. I'm too young for this problem. But yeah,
well,
people might look at, my thing is people look at Evan Carter's Fangraphs page right now. They might be they might be concerned because of the 172 batting average. And I understand that, but when you look at the peripherals, like I got 8% strikeout rate, less than 8%,
right.
double-digit walk rate, and if you go lower and you look at like the plate discipline, he's chasing like he's non-existent with the chase rate. His swinging strikes are not. He's not missing. He has no whiffs in his game, and he has an elite zone contact rate. So his recognition of the zone is it's immaculate right now.
Right.
So the tools are there. It's just he's somebody I'm preaching patience with, and I'm not taking him out of my lineup because it's not a lack of recognition. It's just a lack of production. And I think the production comes when you're seeing the ball that well. It is what it is. I mean,
it's 385 OPP. I mean,
with nothing else. Yeah, his OPP's higher than his slug and average combined almost. Like that's sad.
But it's going to tick up. I mean, somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not worried at all. And I know OBP isn't a category for everybody, but I think the rest will come. I would just be patient. I think it's coming for Evan Carter. Maybe it's cautious out. Maybe it's because I'm a little biased having a few shares, but when you look at that profile, it just screams like, man, this guy can see the zone. It's like these are like Juan Soto type of zone recognition numbers, which I'm not going to put that comp on Evan Carter by any means. But just
so you're saying he's exactly like Juan Soto. Got it. All right. Just exactly so at 36 minutes into the show, Evan Carter equals Juan Soto. Nut market.
Yes, power and all. Yes.
All right. So anybody else you want to highlight in the ALs? Now that I'm sorry I made you go to the guy, but if I get one more mailbox thing, like I said, I'm going to lose it.
Hey, I'm glad you're getting mailbox questions about it. No, I got nothing else. We touched on everything about that.
Well, then I need to go from a team that is pretty good to their doppelgangers in AAA just being ridiculously dominant. The AAA Orioles squad. I mean, let's look at these numbers, please. I mean, Jackson Holiday, okay, I guess that's okay. 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. Well, not 1100 OPS. But look, Kierstead is just going stupid. I mean, that's almost, oh my God. It's not like he just played one game either. It's like 6 home runs, 25 RBIs. And then you got Norby over there too. And then Mayo to me is one of the most exciting prospects from a sheer fan perspective
that no one cares about, like in fantasy.
so hard, and it's not like he's just Gallo, right? He's not up there just striking out. He spits on balls, and he will just
whoa. What does he do?
Spits on a ball.
There it is. That's sorry. This isn't Sunday morning cartoons.
Sorry about that. I am a child. Obviously, so sorry. He will absolutely just look at a ball and be like, no, thank you. I'm waiting for the ball down the middle, and then just tattoo it. And I can't wait to see him in a home run derby. But who's coming up? Where do they play? And who's getting traded? This is nuts. This is Tampa Bay Rays of like 3 years ago. Well, and Tampa Bay Rays every year since. But what is going on?
So they went and they decided to go and get Corbin Burns and turn around and still have all their top prospects afterwards. It looks, I just don't understand. I think maybe by the trade deadline we see something, but I don't know, man. This team, I don't understand why they're forcing at bats into Ryan O'Hearn's direction. But here's the thing: O'Hearn has a 667 slug. The dude is like, so okay. What about Ryan Mountcastle? Oh, he's hitting the ball. Both these guys have like 900 plus OPSs.
Right.
And then you have Colton Cowser, who has over 1,000 OPS, limited sample, but he's hitting the ball well right now. So it's like he's one of the guys where that would be the clear like way to get somebody in the lineup. No, right. They have guys like Urias and whatnot that are, but those are depth pieces. Those are MLB caliber depth opportunity. Like those guys aren't playing every day as it is. I'd say right now, Mullins being the weak link, which I didn't expect that to be necessarily the thing right away. But Mullins, even as a weak link, 2 homers and stolen base, but in terms of like real life production, he's not really hacking it. So maybe him and Westberg, and I know Westberg kind of like the popular, hey, why is he even up? Because I think
Right.
Westberg could be. I think Westberg should be Ramon Urias' role. They should.
Right.
But I think they've
100%.
mentioned Urias being like, hey, we're gonna trade Urias, but nobody wants him because they recognize that you. I think teams are starting to recognize that the Orioles have too much.
Right.
And instead
It's
of
like that. It's like that team that has way too many players, and you're just like, I'm not even gonna trade with you. You have to drop somebody. You're way over the player limit.
yeah, that's what I feel like they know this. But the thing is this team is performing, and Santander is kind of like a league average player, like above average bat, but league average like real life. So maybe someone trades for him. And the thing is they have it's an embarrassment of riches, and this team could literally give up 5 players, and we have 4 on the screen right here that are ready to come up and
Right.
be a contributing member to society, so to speak, a contributing member to this team. It's wild. It's absolutely wild that there's this much talent on one minor league system right now.
All right. Well, it's wild to me. I want all those players on my fantasy team and I should just be able to get them whenever I want. All right. So I know who I was getting most questions from readers about. Who are you getting questions about there, Mike?
So I have a few points here. I just wrote down. I can run through them real quick.
Or run through them slow. We're in no hurry.
So yeah, we actually saw a couple comments coming. That's why I was reading those too.
Okay.
Well, the thing was, we talked about Trevor Story's done for the year. David Hamilton was the next guy up. I just wanted to bring that up real quick, just because a little bit of speed, not as overpower, and he should play every day against righties. I think Pablo Reyes platoons with him. The platoon kings in the Minnesota Twins. Those guys, man, I actually want to see their lineup tonight. So they started Austin Martin against a righty. So I don't think they have an everyday guy. Austin Martin is the first man because Max Kepler just went on the IL. So that's another guy that's injured. They called up Jose Miranda. Miranda's in as well tonight. They're both Miranda and Austin Martin are facing righties, but who knows any given night because Julian's in, Castro's in. I gotta look to see who else. They have a whole bunch of options. It's madness. I projected Jose Miranda. I didn't project Martin. Why? Oh, they also have Margot, but he's more of a weak side platoon guy. It's a mess. But outside of Austin Martin and Miranda, we're watching to see the rest of the fallout here.
Okay. Jose Miranda, real quick. I was really stock up on this guy. Like I was really expecting a lot more, and I don't know if it's just he's been found out and they've exploited a whole. He showed some numbers and he had a pretty quick debut last year as well. Some people think it's because of his link to Lin-Manuel Miranda that's why he's as good as he is, because that's his cousin actually. Did you know that?
I remember hearing something about that actually.
Yeah, so the whole Hamilton thing as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like he got exposed, or maybe he lost confidence, or what. But it feel like he dropped quick. I was really expecting more out of him, especially as an everyday player for the Twins. So sorry about that little segue.
No, I think a lot of people did. The hit tool wasn't a problem, and he still never really struck out a whole lot. It's the power never came, and he chased a lot. He made a lot of. I think the problem was Miranda made a lot of contact outside the zone as well. So it's like that leads to weak contact, which leads to not being able to tap into that power. Plus, now I think he's coming off of a shoulder surgery and injury, so that sapped his potential for upside in terms of power production. So I think Miranda was a guy that was like a decent hitter, like a real life hitter, almost like reminds me of a lot of Willie Castro Willie Calhoun.
Oh yeah, God,
like Willie he was Calhoun. Kind of like that hit tool guy with some upside that just never panned out. And not that Miranda was a direct comp to that, but that's kind of the skill set that comes to mind. Was like Miranda had the hit tool, but we kind of hoped that we dreamed on the power to kind of take a uptick because bigger guy kind of looked like he's 6'2", 210. At least that's how he's listed on Fangraphs. You expected some power to come from that. And
so we have a Willie Calhoun comp. We had a Juan Soto comp on the show. I think we're kind of
that's really, really drastic, stark differences. And
a lot of places are the same. If I got a Willie Calhoun comp and a Juan Soto comp, I'd be happy.
We did get this question here, or just somebody was just talking about these injuries are the worst, and we want to empathize with you or sympathize. Which one is it? I always mix those two up.
Both. We'll hedge. We'll say we'll sympathize while empathizing. How about that?
And of course, thanks. That's a good friend of mine. She decided she wanted to hop in and just say "All hail the king." She likes to get in on the fun with the whole king curling thing.
I love it.
Co-worker of mine, actually, a lot of fun she likes to tease me, or she used to tease me at work about it. It's really funny. But yeah. Anyway, back to the let's see the outline here.
No problem. So, hey, useful platoon players.
We talked about them
we
already.
talked about some of them already, but there's one name on there that you didn't talk about, and two actually. But David Hamilton, not the David Hamilton, or which David Hamilton are we talking about here?
I think it's the same one I was just mentioning with the Red Sox, David Hamilton.
Yep. I just
same one.
Same
as that guy. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't somebody else.
Unfortunately, it's kind of I wrote all this down, and then I realized, we're gonna go over this as the show goes on. But okay.
Hey, you know what though? At the same time, we've had a couple times where we've missed something, so that's important. David Bednar, just allowed 4 runs today. The Pirates' kind of closing situation was already a mess, but this is even more fun. Do you think he's next man up, or do you think they're going to stick with him?
So I think Chapman would be the next man up if you want to spec, but I think Bednar gets a little bit longer of a leash. You have to remember though, people might not remember that he came back from an injury in spring, got a little bit of work, and I think Bednar's still working his way up through through that. So I think it's one of those things where a late camp mixed with just coming off that injury, maybe he's not 100%. That is something you actually have to be concerned about.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think Bednar
with all the pitching injuries, of course you have to be concerned.
Absolutely. But I do think that's kind of that's what I'm getting at with him is I think it's more so he's still building up more than anything else.
Well, before we kind of call it a day here, I would love to know, just from an overall or anything kind of hidden here, anybody you're kind of keeping an eye on. Obviously, I know you play in a lot of money leagues, so I don't want you to have to mess up anything there that you're kind of putting on. But anybody that you're kind of watching or anything like that you think everybody would be interested in as well, even if it's one of those deep finds.
I don't know. I mentioned a lot of them actually, because like some of these guys here I mentioned a lot tonight. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anybody you have in mind? Well,
I mean, look, obviously Pasquantino, I keep hoping, I keep feeling like him and Casas, right? Like in the sense of Casas, we kept being like, just swing the bat, right? Just swing the bat. And Pasquantino just seems to be going so slow out of the gate here. And I just keep hoping he's going to just start being a little bit more aggressive. I mean, 5 Ks is great, 9 games, 33 at bats, but I just, I expect if you have people that are kind of in, not paying attention as much, you could definitely, I think, grab somebody who might be a little upset there with Pasquantino's slow start. But, definitely at the same time too, just kind of looking at who might be the next man up here, because there's just so much going on when it comes to injuries and things of that nature. I mean, and then on top of that, who started with injuries as well, right? We have the Malls of the world and some of these other guys that were just, and Brash, all these people that should be coming up, but are going to probably be rushed even quicker. I mean, Spear just went down for Seattle. It's just a mess. And so I don't know. I'm just trying to find warm bodies at this point that might be healthy. So at this point, I'm like, he's healthy? I don't even know who that guy is, but okay, is that him? So at the moment, it's not very scientific.
I was going to say, right. Well, the good thing about outfield, like on the offensive side of things, is that there's so many platoon bats available. People are kind of coming around on Blackmon. I like Blackmon. I don't think he's sexy or fun, but he's going to play every day and lead off for Milwaukee. Wow, yeah. Since when has he played for Milwaukee? For Colorado.
I was about to. You really freaked me out there for a second. I was like, did he get traded?
No, for Colorado. So Blackman's like not fun or sexy pick, but
Blackman's also 68 years old. So I mean, it's a little bit.
He stole a base. He's hitting like 300 right now, and he's playing against lefties. So he leads off every day regardless, which is interesting because that has value in most formats. I mentioned Brandon Marsh, kind of like an overlooked, unsung hero type.
Right.
That's more of a shallower league because I had him in 115, and I was like, I didn't realize he was doing that good. I don't think I was starting him every day. Obviously, Bryce Terang's on fire. I don't expect that to hold though, so he's a sell high type. I'm literally looking at
what about Luis Gill? Somebody who's like 62% rostered.
He's just too good right now. Okay, what are you gonna do? Get more pitching? Nobody has pitching to trade for him. So it's like you're kind of stuck. Like you're kind of stuck with whoever you got and hoping that they can eventually get to where you need them to get. That's the issue.
No, what I meant. Great point. But what I meant was, if you have a little extra pitching, which I obviously we should not be hoarding like nobody's business. But I'm almost thinking that this is the precipice. I don't know if you could, 14 strikeouts to 2 starts. He looked amazing during spring training, but I'm almost wanting to sell high here pretty soon, seeing if we can get one of those pitchers, desperate teams to give me somebody else if I have an extra pitcher or two.
So the issues are the walks. It's like 7/9 right now. It's stupid. But the K percentage is 37%. Like even with the 18.4% walk, is it 18.4%? Okay, 18.4% walk rate. That's just stupid. Wow. It's but he's
it's like the batter. If I'm in the batter's box, I don't know if that ball's coming to my head.
You know what? It's I right now I would be happy to find a Luis. I think it's Heel actually, which is funny.
Oh, my apologies.
No, don't worry. I don't care if you mispronounce it. This isn't. I'm not gonna.
But he will.
Oh, how dare
you? I don't run that fast. So if he comes after me, I'm not a fast runner.
Going through you. It doesn't matter.
He might hit me with one of those balls that are outside of the zone. Who knows? All the way in Texas.
Yeah, and he's playing in New York. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, it's so he's I don't know, man. I don't do so fun fact, I don't play in trading leagues for this reason. I like to you have to earn your stripes. You pick up who you pick up, you draft who you draft, and if you get hit by injuries, that sucks, but that's part of the game. We all usually take hits throughout the season. And I've learned to, plus I don't have the time to do this the trading stuff anymore. So my trade advice, that's probably one of my weakest spots as an analyst these days, because I like to always just ride out. I'm big on you know what? I'll ride it till the wheels fall off. I want the production. You give me that, I'll take the production, and then Crochet. I'm gonna ride Crochet until he's not giving me that production anymore. Because how many more pitchers are gonna go down? And I traded away from a strength that's no longer a strength anymore. That's another reason why trades kind of screw you. Although I understand they're fun, because I used to be a huge proponent of trade leagues, daily leagues. I don't have time for them anymore. But I also I hate when a trade also makes the whole league kind of hey, look, this trade happened. It's an awful trade, and and then the whole league is lopsided now because of an awful trade. Because I also don't believe in vetoes, because I think vetoes are stupid. You shouldn't be managing my team unless it's obvious collusion. But if I'm trading Trout for Luis Heel, then yeah, that's bad. You veto that, but you know what I mean. That's what. Regardless, you got me on a whole nother rant. Look at you.
And that King Curlin Story Hour is brought to you by Burger King as well. I just wanted to thank you so much. Come on down, grab a Whopper at the King's. Anyways, again, thanks everybody so much for watching. And again, catch us here next week as well, as we go over the first week ever with no injuries. That's what this week's going to be. It's going to be no more injuries. Starting now. 7:52 p.m. Central.
Did you see Yohan Moncada went down, right? That happened earlier today, before tonight. Did you not see that? Here, I'll show it to you on the way out real quick.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, no. Let me find it.
You can hear me cry on the way out.
Hold on. I got it. Give me a second. Share this tab.
It's gonna be another one of those non-contact.
Yep. It was right there. Another one.
Come on.
Out the batter's box, gunning it, and just pulls up. It's a left abductor strain, apparently.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
The whole white,
it's on the left side of your body somewhere.
Yes, in the adductor region.
The abductor, yeah, somewhere between my toes and my head.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So he's done for a bit. That whole team. That's a snake. Talk about snake bitten team. That's
God. They need to talk to the trainer. That's all I can say. What are you doing to that poor guy? Those poor guys.
I don't know. What are you fucking doing for at this point?
Anyways.
All right. Anyway.
Well, for Mike, myself, JP, Dab Scout, please send us some more notes. Send us any email you might have. Please don't ask me about Evan Carter. And we look forward to seeing you here next week. Thanks so much for watching.